Good afternoon and welcome to Locked On NBA Daily. On today's show, Chris Paul and the Clippers are parting ways. I'm going to ask Matt and Haize whether this is rock bottom for the Clippers or if it could still somehow get worse. Meanwhile, things are clicking for the Celtics, who got a big win over the Knicks last night. And finally, Anthony Edwards is on a scoring run that we have to talk about. I'll ask the guys if he's even better this season.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network, however you're tuning in on YouTube or on your podcast app. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Wes Goldberg. Today we are talking about things going wrong for the Clippers and things going right for the Celtics and the Timberwolves. We're doing it with the help of Locked On's local experts. I have two of the best with me as always. From the Locked On Nuggets podcast, senior NBA writer for the Action Network, it's Matt Moore. Matt?
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was ice freaking cold last night. Tough spot on the road. Warriors actually, I thought, played really well considering what we talked about yesterday. Cam Spencer was really great in that game, but man, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Jamal Crawford, by the way, being on the call for it was also awesome. Loving that combo.
From the Locked On Bulls podcast, Bulls and Bears creator for Bleacher Report, it's Haize.
This continues to be a season full of really, really good basketball. I get there are a lot of people that are complaining about too many threes and whatever else it is, but competitive basketball is here, and Adam Silver gets closer and closer to that parity he talked about.
So some surprising news this morning that we have to talk about right off the bat. The Clippers are parting ways with Chris Paul. We got a statement. There's some language on the injury report about how he's away from the team. They're basically just sending him home. Late last night, they announced that they've sent him home in the middle of their road trip, essentially parting ways with one of the all-time greats in franchise history, a future Hall of Famer, and doing so a week after he announced that this would be his final season. We're still learning exactly what this means since the Clippers can't exactly waive him because of where they are against the apron. He's not eligible to get traded until later this month. But, Matt, what was your reaction when you saw the news here?
What the? I can't believe they did this. I cannot believe they did this. I cannot. Look, I genuinely think that a lot of what the Clippers have done from an organizational standpoint in terms of how the team is structured has been pretty good. Like, they have pretty smart people, I think, at the top. Like, I can't blame them for wanting Kawhi Leonard. It's Kawhi Leonard. In 2019, he was the finals MVP. They wanted to add him. To get him, you had to do the Paul George trade. Okay, like, I understand all that. They have actually developed some really good pieces, like Jordan Miller, I like a lot. This is such clown shoes. To do this to this guy, Lou Will on Run It Back on FanDuel TV said, quote, he was critical of the players, coaches, and front office, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. He was holding people accountable. I am trying so hard not to pin this on Kawhi Leonard because that's like where I always go to is like, you can't hold Kawhi Leonard accountable. And so got to get it like, nope, there is no accountability in this front office. None. I cannot believe that you would literally send home this guy who gave your franchise so much, who's given the game so much. Like, he was president of the NBPA. Like, he's done so much for this game, for this league. This is the absolute peak of disrespect. I am disgusted with the Los Angeles Clippers.
It's weird. It reads weird. It sounds weird. It feels weird. Like Chris Paul. I mean, this is just after we just had Dime Drop or a clip from him last week praising how much he loves the fact that that Chris Paul is back in the Clippers uniform. Now he's gone. It's weird. I mean, I know that's not like the best analysis to give, but this is just, it's strange for this to happen at this point in time. And if it is due to him holding people accountable, you then have to ask yourself, well, what do you want veterans around for? Because you weren't bringing in Chris Paul because you thought he was going to be transformative to your roster. We all knew that wasn't going to be the case. But for him to come in and to try to hold players accountable, and especially while your team's in a tailspin like this, what more do you want? So that tells me that you don't want anybody to be held accountable. You don't care about getting out of this hole that you've dug yourself in the middle of the season. And to me, this is not that Chris Paul was like the end all be all of as far as production on the roster, but this does signify to me or make me at least question how committed are the Clippers actually to turning this thing around.
And a really odd statement from Lawrence Frank on the heels of all of this happening. Chris Paul kind of announces this or hints at it on Instagram and his stories. And then we get this, again, odd statement from Lawrence Frank, who within it says, quote, "I want to make one thing very clear. No one is blaming Chris for our underperformance." Then why are you doing this? Then what's the point of this? If it is simply he's holding teammates accountable, don't they kind of somebody needs to be held accountable for whatever's happening here? To Matt's point, like the front office isn't doing it. So there's a ton that we can get to in here. Like there's so many layers to this. Not only is this the second time they've butchered the ending of an Icon's tenure. We remember what happened with them and the Blake Griffin fiasco, which was a very different time, but still they have a track record here as an organization. But zooming out here for a second, guys, it's been a rock bottom type of season for the Clippers. My only question is, what's next? Maybe we could talk about first, before we get to the Clippers, what's next for Chris Paul? If they're going to work on his next step, I mean, if this is his final season, if they're going to try to trade him later this month, like, is there a good landing spot if they release him? Is there a team that makes sense for him, Matt?
There's a couple. Like, the ideal story, honestly, would be OKC, but they don't have a roster spot. Like, they're not going to give up on any of like the one. I don't know why, because it's just like, look, you can use your dark magic to just conjure another wing that's going to score 20 points on any given night. It's not what you're not going to be able to draft one. You're not going to have enough picks to find another replacement. That would be the ideal story here. Denver's not a bad option. They need somebody who can play better defense than Chris can, but they do need another ball handler. So bringing in Chris would actually be a pretty good end. Like you obviously want to see him on a contender. Part of my thing though is like whatever team he goes to, I want to be sure that he wins the title. Like he needs to win the title. So whether it's the Knicks, there's CAA ties there, the Cavaliers, those I think are both options. I think there's like a lot of places that would actually benefit from having him. But I mean, some of this is just like he wanted to be home with his family. Like, he really missed his family the last couple of years. Hey, maybe go across, maybe go back down to Staples. Maybe go down there and see if there's room for you in that kind of spot. They could use a little bit of depth. I wouldn't mind that either. And if the Lakers were to win a title with Chris Paul after the Clippers waived him, that's the most Clippers thing of all.
That would be Haize. Shout out, by the way, calling it Staples still. Haize, any of those that you like in particular? I'll throw a couple more. Dallas needs some point guard play. Houston has a roster spot. They'd have to wait until January, but in terms of Matt's, like, it would be nice to see him on a contender. Houston obviously qualifies as that too, and it's one of your favorite teams.
Yeah, I mean, Houston, I mean, Chris Paul isn't really productive on the court. I mean, he can help there. I do think he can be an extension of Ime Udoka there as well. But I think keep in mind, like, this whole basketball in Oklahoma City thing happened when the Hornets had to play in Oklahoma City for a year. Go join the Thunder. Guarantee yourself damn near a ring. Go join the Thunder. May not play a lot, but at least Chris Paul can leave the game with the ring.
It would be the most storybook ending. Let's talk about the Clippers now. Rock bottom for them, Haize. At what point, like, Brook Lopez isn't even playing for them. He's out of the rotation. James Harden is getting benched in the middle of these games now. Chris Paul is gone. The offseason obviously hasn't worked. The season isn't working for them. Where do they go from here?
I think it can get worse, I should say, because I don't know if you've got peeped this or not, but James Harden's efforts starting to look a little bit questionable. And if you know anybody who is going to force themselves out of a bad situation, a la Jimmy Butler, is James Harden. And if James Harden does get to the point of trying to force himself out of LA, at least out of the Clippers franchise, it can definitely get worse. And I wouldn't put it past him at all.
Yeah, there is no bottom. Like, there is no bottom. It can always get worse with the Clippers. I think probably the next like steps of this are probably related to the aspirant Pablo Torre investigation, right? Like, how this actually goes. It looks like season goes completely sideways. Waive Chris Paul, miss playoffs, face significant penalties from salary cap circumvention that handicaps your rebuild for the next decade. Kawhi Leonard's deal is voided and he leaves, and they give the Thunder the number 1 pick.
And maybe they give the Thunder Chris Paul. Chris Paul wins the championship with the Thunder, and then the Thunder have the Clippers pick. Full circle. Excellent point. It can only get worse for the Clippers. Meanwhile, the Celtics, they got a big win over the Knicks last night. Anthony Edwards is on a scoring run that needs more attention. We're going to talk about all of that next year on Locked On NBA Daily. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you could track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up on the app, the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views, pick a game, tap a selection, and have your seats locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for the fine print. The seat view feature is a game changer. You literally see what the pitch looks like from your exact seat before you buy. Prices include fees up front, which I love. No last second surprises at checkout. Alerts for teams and matches make it easy to grab tickets the moment they drop instead of missing out. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go with Game Time. Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. The best way to support the show is to like and subscribe on YouTube. We air Mondays to Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern, wherever you get your podcasts. It's time for one of our favorite segments here on Locked On NBA Daily. It's time for the real question.
What is real? How do you define real? It's impossible. I didn't say it would be easy.
The Celtics beat the Knicks last night to move to 12-9 after a 1-3 start to the season. Here's John Corrales from Locked On Celtics with more.
All of a sudden, the Celtics are 12-9. This was a stretch. I think I had good reason to be worried about this stretch. They had just lost to the Brooklyn Nets. Things have gotten dicey. And I was like, look, Orlando, Detroit, Minnesota, Cleveland, New York, Lakers with a Wizards game mixed in. They've beaten Orlando, Detroit, Cleveland, and now the Knicks. So they've gotten their 4 wins. So the Celtics are putting things together. This is a very high quality win, a true team win where they get performances from everybody.
Haize, an impressive win for the Celtics over the Knicks last night. Here's the real question.
What is real?
Will the Celtics make the playoffs?
And so right now, I'll say yes. The thing that I always like to go back to, especially in the Eastern Conference, is point differential usually is a big indicator in the Eastern Conference about how the standings end up working out. Right now, the Celtics have the 6th best point differential in the NBA. Now it's still early enough where that can change a lot, but if they can keep that up, they're going to make the playoffs this year in the weak Eastern Conference, much less if they do make a trade with Anthony Simons to get somebody in here that can also help them on the front line. So I'll say right now it's real. The Celtics are going to make the playoffs in the East.
4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be the 4 seed. This seems really good. And at some point, we're going to have to put the kind of respect on Joe Mazzulla's name that he deserves. And I get it because he's a psychopath and the threes are annoying. But look, this team missing this amount of talent with no center coming into the season is 4th on offense, 17th on defense, schedule adjusted. Like the numbers with Keita are insane. They have like an elite Thunder level defense when Keita is on the floor. Neemias Keita on the floor. Derek White hasn't played well, and they're doing this. They're getting contributions from Jordan Walsh. They're getting contributions from Josh Minot. They're getting contributions from everywhere. And oh yeah, I would bet you in the next month we're probably going to get Tatum update. I regret to inform you, Wes Goldberg, The Boston Celtics are good, and they're going to be a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference.
They're okay. Let's punt the brakes a little bit here. They're okay. They're okay. No, the Celtics, according to Basketball Reference's playoff probabilities report, have a 65% chance of landing a top 6 seed, so making the Eastern Conference playoffs outright without having to go through the play-in tournament. That's a lot better than I think a lot of people, including myself, I'm owning up to it, had them going into the season. They played small against the Knicks last night and completely dictated the terms. They were putting like Jordan Walsh and Josh Minot and Karl Anthony Towns. Joe Mazzulla, to your point, Matt, he's figuring things out. After a rough start, he's figured ways to win. Their rebounding has gotten a lot better after a messy start. They're still doing a lot of Celtics-y things, but they're also kind of doing some new stuff with this new roster. And maybe Tatum does come back and kind of helps them make this last push here. Meanwhile, Anthony Edwards scored 30 of his 44 points in the second half of last night's overtime win versus the Pelicans. He's averaging 38.3 points per game over his last 6 games. I feel like nobody's talking about the run that Anthony Edwards is on right now. Here's Ben Beacon from the Locked On Wolves podcast with more.
He scored 44 points on over 50% from the field. 16 of 30 from the field. 6 of 13 on threes, which is fantastic at that volume to make 6 threes, including that massive one down the stretch in regulation that tied the game. A very impressive performance from Andy. He was a plus 14 in 47 minutes. He only sat 6 minutes out of a possible 53 in this overtime game. I think his best performance of the season. Certainly his best. I know it was his season high in terms of scoring. It was also efficient. So certainly his best offensive game, no question, and very impressive. The Timberwolves needed him. They obviously don't win this game without Ant's heroics down the stretch, really throughout the second half.
Another big game from Anthony Edwards. The real question here,
What is real?
Matt, has Ant made another leap this season?
I don't know yet. I don't know if this is real or not. I'm in a dreamlike state where we are between reality and unreality. I am not sure, because they still are not really getting the wins that they need. They're starting to put it together, and that's great. But also, some of this is like the context of playing in overtime games, playing close games. Is some of this with the bump in his production. He's needed to do this a lot. Like, they need him to be putting in these kind of performances, and that's what he's there for. I think it's possible he's making that kind of a leap, but I am not ready to go there yet. I am unsure if it is real.
I believe it. I've learned not to bet against Anthony Edwards. Like, you look at what he was coming into the league. One of the knocks was his shooting. He turned himself into one of the best shooters in the league last season. I've learned not to bet against people that continually show they can overcome challenges repeatedly. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt right now. I'll say it's real for Anthony Edwards.
So a couple of statistical markers that might prove that he's made something of a leap here. He's improved as both an ISO scorer and a pick and roll ball handler. There's been a lot of talk about Ant playing a lot more point guard this year in Minnesota, with Mike Conley sort of in and out of the rotation as he gets older and playing more minutes alongside Dante DiVincenzo. He's been better at that. That's been steady improvement throughout his career. So that's not necessarily new, but he's gotten better. And then the other part of it is, to your point, Haize, like, he took a lot of threes last year. That was sort of the big leap he took, but he was also shooting like more than half of his shots from 3-point range. He started to even out his shot distribution a little bit more, where he's starting to get to the rim a little bit more. He's even included more mid-range shots, which I think, Matt, is good, because if Anthony Edwards is going to hit that leap, to your point, we're going to need to see it in the playoffs. That's really sort of the next step for him. Not to say that he hasn't been good in the playoffs, but kind of being more consistent in the playoffs and making those buckets when they really need them against some of the best defenses. That's when that mid-range game and that post stuff is really going to come into play.
Yeah, a lot of the advanced metrics are kind of tracking along with this too. He's on pace for, he's got a 97th percentile EPM offensively. That's really promising. He's shooting 41.3% from 3 and 69% at the rim, while he's got a really good assist to turnover ratio. So, like, it's all kind of coming together. I still feel like they're one piece short of being the team that they need to be.
Haize, is there a piece that Minnesota needs to add when you look at this team? Is there something that they're missing?
Point guard.
Chris Paul?
Ooh.
I don't hate. I feel like I did that whole meme thing, but I don't hate it. I just don't know if it really solves what they need for the point guard position. But if they can find a point guard, and reportedly they're on the search for one, that would solidify them, to me, give them a better chance at coming out the Western Conference.
That's all about, like, does Ant embrace that or not? Like,
Yeah.
does he embrace that accountability like certain people with the Clippers did not? That to me is kind of the question.
Something tells me Ant might handle being coached and accountability better than some of those people on the Clippers. Coming up, Cooper Flagg was the first pick in the draft, but has he been the best rookie so far this season? We'll talk about that next. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Daily is brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now, I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. The Locked On Podcast Network has a show for every team. Check out Locked On Clippers, Locked On Celtics, and Locked On Timberwolves for more on today's top stories. So we got some news yesterday that Knueppel and Cooper Flagg were named the East and West NBA Rookies of the Month. The way that the NBA does this for the first sort of round of it is they kind of group October and November together. But congrats to Knueppel and Cooper Flagg. Haize, do you think they got it right here? And are these the best two rookies in the class so far?
Yes, I'll say they're the best two rookies. Knueppel has just been great this season, and he's been amazing. Cooper Flagg has been really good too. I mean, if you're going based off hype, right? Like, of course, Cooper Flagg comes in with the most hype, but if you go based off how they were heralded coming into the draft, I think we also got to talk about Cedric Coward being one of the best rookies in this class as well. Now, he's had what I think 4 straight games now scoring in single digits. So I'm bringing this up at a weird time, but Cedric Coward has also been really great as a rookie, and I think he definitely deserves some acknowledgement too. But I'll say for now they got it right with Khan and Cooper.
Yeah, I think these are the two best. So per 36, Knueppel leads all rookies in scoring at 19.7. Cooper is starting to catch up, but he's still behind him at 18.1. His advanced metrics are a little bit worse, in part because Cooper's shooting 26% from three, and Khan's shooting 42% from three. It's a pretty good differential there. Although I will give you two guesses. Guess who leads in per 36 scoring amongst qualified players out of the rookie class, Haize?
Per 36?
Yeah.
It's going to be somebody crazy. It's either Derek Queen or Jeremiah Fears or something like that.
Good job. It's Jeremiah Fears at 20.5 points per 36 minutes, shooting 45% from the field and 36% from three. Like, the Pelicans secretly, like, Zion's ruled out again for a couple weeks, but they have like this really good core now with Fears and Queen. But I mean, look, up and down, I love this rookie class. I just continue to just love it. Igor Demons coming on. He's been great over the last 2 weeks. I was watching some stuff from him yesterday. Edgecombe, I still think is really good. Like, up and down, this rookie class is phenomenal. Cooper, I watched him in person the other night, and it's interesting. Cooper's still so far away from stuff like having go-to spots. Like, he doesn't really have those, but he's got such a good ability to score tough buckets under duress off balance. Like, when he gets his spots, that's going to be really scary. Like, you can see that he's going to be the best player out of this class, even if he's not the best player this season, because he's got his ability to make off balance shots is what really impressed me the other night. You combine that with the defense and his passing, and you just got a really great player there that we all expected.
Yeah.
With Knueppel too, it's not just the 3-point shooting. He was sort of talked about as a 3-point shooting kind of guy, and he's finishing at the rim at a high rate. He's passing. His assist to turnover ratio is basically identical to Cooper Flagg, and Cooper was the guy that came in, was supposed to kind of play this point forward kind of spot. Knueppel, with LaMelo Ball in and out of the lineup, with his role on that team, with Brandon Miller out for most of the season, like, he's really stepped up and played really well. Let's look ahead though. Let's talk about Rookie of the Month for December. You talked about the Pelicans guys there, Matt, a little bit, but do we want to make some predictions for maybe the guys that might be on the short list for potentially winning this award next?
I keep waiting for Trey Johnson to get his opportunity because the overall numbers are actually really still good for him. 17 points per 36. He's shooting 50% from the field, or I'm sorry, 50% from 2-point range and 40% from 3. The Wizards just won't let him off. Like, they won't let him loose. They continue to be like, it's annoying because again, they're just intentionally
They're
playing.
doing it. Yeah,
I know it's really annoying.
But Trey Johnson's gonna be good.
But Cedric Howard feels like he just continues to put in really good performances every single night. We'll see if he still gets as many touches with Zach Edey back in the rotation because Edey's just going to be a pretty high usage player. The other guy I kind of want to mention here who has gone under the radar is the other Hornets rookie, and that's Kalkbrenner, who leads all players in half-court points per possession because he only takes shots he will make. It's just dunks and layups. He only the guy only takes shots he's going to make, and he makes them all. And I like his defense a lot. I really like Kalkbrenner. The Knueppel, Kalkbrenner, and Fears Queen combos. I think that's really interesting and two really good rookie combos.
Yeah, those are great that you pointed out there. I think Trey Johnson is going to be really good out of this class. I continue to be impressed as well. I know he hasn't played a lot of minutes, but still look out for Hugo Gonzalez. He's somebody that I really hype into this draft. I think Hugo Gonzalez is going to be really, really good. And the Celtics got themselves a steal out of Hugo Gonzalez. But great call on Ryan Kalkbrenner. He's been really good. I think he's averaging a block and a half per game as well. And to get that value in the second round has been great for Ryan Kalkbrenner as well.
Hugo Gonzalez also putting in some work on Karl-Anthony Towns last night down the stretch there. And because he's playing in Boston, Celtics fans will make sure he wins at least a couple of Defensive Player of the Year awards at some point in his career.
Never going to let it go.
Let's look ahead to tonight's games. So we were just talking about Cooper Flagg and Knueppel, both of them in action tonight. Miami at Dallas Heat, 5.5-point favorites on the road. Haize, who do you like?
I'll take Dallas in this one.
Oh, that's fine.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because we just got done talking about Cooper Flagg, and I like that. I like the Dallas Mavericks roster overall.
Okay. They're garbage. And the Nuggets losing them was an absolute disgrace that they should be embarrassed about. The Heat will win this game by more than 16 points.
Ooh. Taking the over on the spread there. Knueppel and the Charlotte Hornets in New York. Second night of a back-to-back for the Knicks. Doesn't matter. The Knicks are 8.5-point favorites at home because they're playing the Hornets, who are not good. Matt, who do you like?
Don't know who's going to play in this one, right, with the back-to-back. So that's kind of the question. Hornets have been pesky. It just seems like every time the Hornets take one step forward, they take 2 steps backward. I do want to say, go look at Knueppel's quotes after their disappointing performance in the follow-up, where it was like they had this thing rolling and then they got too fat and happy. Like Knueppel lit into his own team and was like, we can't do this. Like, we're trying to change things. Like we're trying to change things here. Like we can't just be doing this. Miles Bridges is like, that's not what we do here. That's not what we do. We don't hold each other accountable and actually try and put together professional efforts. That's settle down, Rook. So I am kind of curious to see the bounce back from there. Knicks win, Hornets cover. I'll say that.
Haize?
Hornets win this game. I know they lost against the Brooklyn Nets. The Hornets beat the Bulls, which isn't impressive, but they also beat the Raptors, who were playing some really good defense. The Knicks are on the second of a back-to-back. I got the Hornets coming in here. Knueppel has a big game today. 28 points at least for Knueppel today.
Ooh, I like this. I like the player props predictions now.
Do the Nets beat the Bulls?
Probably.
Woo,
I have no faith in the Bulls anymore.
Is that the reverse jinx, or what is that?
Listen, the Bulls went into a stretch where they were playing off against teams, or I think the record was a combined 12-64 and have been 0 for 4 so far. I have no more faith in the Bulls until they prove otherwise.
My prediction, Bam Adebayo. 3 made 3-pointers tonight. He's on a run against the Dallas Mavericks. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA Daily wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thank you to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making Locked On Podcast Network your first listen. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA Daily.